Well, this is the first time going live on the tablet. Let's see if I can stand you up and get better view. Or whether if I go that way, I don't know whether it'll I need to hold it. So sorry about this. And let me just share it onto. I should normally do this first. Let me do picture. I should be able to. Okay, that's posted into the members group. And copy. Let's see if we can post you onto. Right, I'll have to do that later, which means if I don't do it while I'm live, then I have to do it a day after. Let's see if I can prop you up while I write. So I've just had one of my Akashic readings. There we go. Don't worry too much, it's more about what to say. I've got a cat sitting behind me. We'll have to get used to this. Hopefully the volume's okay. This is, as going to say, it's as much as a test of me using the tablet. Hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and New Year and birthday for me. One of my birthday gifts here with a little pussy cat on there that my daughter bought me for my birthday. And then I've got my rather long thingy on the. Finally got this pendant and these little earrings, which is obviously just a little bit of housekeeping. So hope you all had a lovely time, got some wonderful prezzies and spent time with family. So today I had a reading that was postponed from Christmas with a colleague, and it was a bit of a random questions that I asked. So these were the questions I asked about whether I had a life in China, so what the link was, why I'm drawn to Chinese medicine and the culture. I asked about finances, whether I had any financial blocks or if there was anything in past lives that was stopping me from creating abundance, and whether any of my children were in my past lives as well. So that's what this video we're going to kind of. So they're a bit of a mix mash of questions, but what came up was first there was like three paths she was saying with regards to abundance and finances. One, that there was finances being generated. So I'm going to summarize it so it's not so long for you guys. Being and coming from sort of old money, if you like, generated from old structures, the sort of the husband in a soulless job generating the money itself being used for the light um, within for my with my soul, but a sort of a linked system of all these beautiful old houses and um, that kind of path of it not really amounting to much, even though it was very beautiful, abundant life. It was like this beautiful garden was amazing, which she was showing me, um, and wealth in that way. And then another path that for me is the one that I'm on, where I'm the architect of it and I'm building that path up, and allowing the money to be sort of soul led rather than coming from structures in the old traditional way where money was built up and you had this abundance of like a beautiful manor house and riches of untold and beautiful garden, etc. And the fountain. But when you went into the foundations of that, the roots were having that came from other people. And I thought that's very relevant. One of the reasons I wanted to share this in particular is it was sort of saying that that kind of wealth was got through the lack of others. So, like for example, you had the slave trade in the in all of our history in the UK, and all these beautiful houses. A lot of them were built on like the plantations they had in the Caribbean and all this. So there's this where sort of saying the structures that were in place were built up from different things, be it for things. So those different type of and at expense of another. And those are the structures that we still sort of have. That's the 3D structures that are in place, in a sense that someone has to give up their time for money to go out and work. And she was saying that the path that I'm on is very different, that I'm walking down a different path where I've got like my almost like a hard hat on, and I'm creating the structure itself, and building it. But she was sort of saying that I'm on the right path, but that path is very different. It's slower. It's not coming instantaneously, but it is there. But the foundations is what I'm laying and I'm building, and I thought that's very apt to where I feel I am. She said there's a sense, obviously, of frustration that you've not gotten further, but you are going to be. So I am in my soul contract, in the sense that the path of abundance is coming from heart-led experience and heart-led with my hands. So she was sort of saying it's in my palm of my hands. I'm the one that's creating it, and that they're lit up with gold and lit up with light. Obviously, sort of healing as well. Um, so I asked about blocks. What was she said about blocks? Um, oh, we went on to sort of say the images that was being shown, and there was an image of a like almost like a baby in the infant stages, and the symbols they were using were the ones that I completely understood. That's what I love about the way things come through. It's like they use what I would know, so straight away they gave me images that I use in the cards. So I've got these pack of fortune telling cards. So when I do the card readings, there's different symbols mean different things. The baby in its infant side, the tree, and the horse and helping hands. They were utilizing all of that from my subconscious and showing her that way so I could interpret and understand it. Um, so basically, they were saying there was like a knight in shining armor, if you like, in the form of a giraffe, and that the baby and the infants, to get to the fruit on the tree, couldn't reach it himself, but was being led by this beautiful giraffe with its long neck. And that giraffe being, and that I was like, who is this person in my life? That they're not yet in my life, and that they will be coming into my life. That I'm kind of like the stalk, the baby being brought by the stalk at the moment, and sort of coming to this sort of jungle area, and that the reason, whereas others had like mother father helping the baby learn to walk, that I'm kind of doing it on my own, that there isn't those learnt patterns. But it also means that yes, I didn't learn the patterns from father mother, that I've branched off and broken away from those old structures that were or can be there, and I'm sort of rebuilding my own, if you like, restructuring my own fate, sense of that, when it comes to finances and abundance, but that I am still like in the intention stage, the being flown in that excitement, and then in dropped in the thick of it. But there will be these figures, this giraffe, if you like, a man that will come into my life that's going to help me lift up to get the fruit of where I need to go. And one of the questions that I'd asked about with whether I'm on the right track with obviously the hurdles that have happened with the finance, insurance stuff with Qigong, and they showed a very clear picture of me teaching community-based Qigong, and helping people in a really lovely environment. And so basically, what I'm seeing is what they're saying is the correct path, that I do need to go down this. That is the right path for me. So that was quite interesting the way that was shown. But the other thing I asked about China, and this I've never seen before. She saw me as a geisha. So in another lifetime, I was a geisha that was at the palace. So I love all of that stuff, which is drawn to the luxury. And she was saying I have all of those qualities that the geisha has, in the fact that I paint detailed, like beautiful structured vases. I was detailing, painting, drawing, and it was a different type of discipline to what a qigong master was, because we started down this path to say, was I in another lifetime? Because it was a qigong master that stepped forward as a guide to me personally, to say I needed to go down that, to invite me to go down that path in this lifetime. So I was wondering, well, whether I had connection in past lifetime through my Akashic. But when we went to specifically China, we was taken to this scene of this geisha, which she said was me, and this very handsome warrior who I was absolutely in love with. In fact, she was kind of all giggly over and of him, and there was definitely a mutual romance that was going on. But he was a warrior, and his discipline was within the warrior scene, and he goes off to war. And from a distance, she sees him basically slain and killed, and it's like when he's killed, she's killed as well. So the joy in her life just goes. She almost gives up, um, and then goes back to what she knows in the palace with the emperor, and is just doing what she knows how to do, but she never has that joy that kind of goes with her, which is quite sad, really. She mourns, but she just goes on to do back to her painting, her drawing, and her sort of singleton life in a way. But I mean, they were almost high class prostitutes in some regard. I don't know what they did, but they were more than that. But yeah, she goes back to that, a loveless life, um, but lives in such luxury. So obviously, this was still on the theme of the abundance. Um, and then finally, I had asked about my son, um, and I think we've spoken about that before, so I won't go down into that too much. If either of my children were with me, and she said definitely the son, and a sense of him almost like a little baby monkey hanging on to the gorilla, not wanting to let go. That there's this really strong connection with my son, um, that he is holding on ever so tightly, not wanting to let go of me. And obviously, there's in reason. So she was saying you need to let go of any guilt that you weren't there to save him in a past life, for whatever reason, of him being off at war. In those days, they went off to war at like 12. So in this life, you have a chance, obviously, to be the mum that never got to be in the past life. So that's quite nice to hear. So it was a different one this time. But yeah, the memories of the geisha were interesting because the images were flooding through. I could smell. It's interesting how these little things come through. I love cherry blossom, and the smell of cherry blossom and the sense of smell obviously was coming through for me. And as she was saying these things, I could see the palace. I could see the image. I couldn't see his face, but she sort of said he's gone to take. He's showing off his taking off his shirt, and I literally in my mind saw the image of the love that she was not obsessed with. It wasn't because I thought it was admiration. No, it's definitely love. She was deeply in love with this warrior that that went off and was killed in battle, um, and had mutual respect. And that was the other thing. She went back to doing what she knew and painting these vases and do like the geishas do, but also there was a certain warrior like sense to her after that. She became quite hard. Um and that was the link with China. So although it was felt quite quick session, we went through quite consecutively long um session. Trying to think if there's anything else I asked with regards to the finances. Um as always, instinctively knowing. Whereas most people in the 3D world would say, why don't you just go and get a job and a 9 to 5 and have money to do the things you want to do temporarily? Every time I've asked guidance for that, they've said, definitely no, that's not my path. And that my path is to show a different way and to show being the architect of that structure, and that I'm only at the very sort of like the stalk stage of that. Um, but it will come, and I am on the right track. So that's obviously good to know. So with that, that's like 15 minutes. I'm just gonna leave it, and fingers crossed the sound on this is fine, and let me know. Oh, hang on. Let's see if we can post it before we go. I don't know if I can. Uh, no, doesn't look like I can. I'll probably put it in there. No. Anyway, I have another way to go live now other than the phone. Hopefully the sound is okay and that you can hear me all right. So this will be a little bit of a test for that. And classes, I'm not sure when to resume them. Whether if I kind of would like to just say, if you're happy for me to continue, with a disclaimer or something to say, look, I have not done the 50 hours, etc., then I will commence, and I'll just have to put a disclaimer in the description. And then maybe I can continue, because I haven't, because I've been unsure. Um, but I'm assuming if it's just for you guys, it's just whether I want to those videos later, whether they can then be shown. If then later, obviously, I have the tick box when it comes to the insurance side of my course. So yeah, it's been a bit up and down, and I've not been very well. Um, I've got someone sending me some healing. I do feel like energetically we've got a lot going on at the moment, but I'll do a separate video on that, and I want to keep this under the 20-minute mark. So love and blessings, and if you're watching, and hope you've had a good start to the new year, and I will hopefully see you soon.